Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, this series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Today's top comment comes from Thomas FPS. He says, Crysis Loadout, SCAR-L, Silencer, US Hollow or US RDS, MP412 Rex as the Majestic 6, crossbow as a Predator bow, no other equipment, squad perk of choice. I know that Silencer on SCAR-L isn't very good, but since it's Crysis themed loadout, it fits. Sorry for the bad grammar and greetings from Finland. Now I took this loadout one step further by adding the foregrip onto the SCAR. I always use the foregrip in Crysis 3, so I figured, to be more accurate to my actual playstyle in Crysis 3, I may as well put the foregrip on here in Battlefield. I don't think it's actually going to help out this loadout, considering I'm mostly ADSing and the foregrip doesn't help for that, but aesthetically it does look pretty similar. Now sadly I don't have all my cool Crysis 3 nanosuit abilities. Cloak would probably come in pretty handy in Battlefield 3, but the suppressor does keep me off the minimap, so you can play a stealth game. And I'm happy to say that regardless of what kind of gun you're using, the suppressor can allow you to do very well, especially on maps that are team deathmatch oriented, or even rush maps where you can really flank around and get behind the enemy lines. I'm going to show you a clip later on Rush Domovan where I'm just camping this one little area and nobody knows where I am because I'm not popping on the minimap when I fire, and it's just funny how many kills you can get just by using a suppressor. And using the crossbow in close quarter combat in conjunction with the SCAR-L is another way to stay off the minimap and have a very, very powerful weapon for that one-shot takedown in CQB. And if you miss your shot, you can always just quickly switch to your SCAR-L, which is a great backup weapon to have. So you can see here I've flanked around and nobody really knows where I am right now. So I'm feeling very confident. Everybody sort of comes around the corner not expecting to see someone because I am off the minimap. Now the SCAR-L was actually being used a bit in the US military as intended as a replacement for the M4. I guess they've kind of canceled some of that, but they have been using the heavier versions of the SCAR. The SCAR-H, which is available for the engineer class in Battlefield, shoots the heavier rounds and does more damage at range, and I believe that one's still being used in the US military. Now, as for its performance in Battlefield 3, the SCAR-L has an incredibly low rate of fire of 620 rounds per minute, meaning that this gun is not going to be your ideal weapon for close quarter combat or dropping people extremely fast. However, it's got very, very low recoil, so it's going to allow you to be accurate at long range with multiple rounds. And if you'd really like to play the SCAR-L to its strengths, you can slap a heavy barrel on there, even use a hollow sight to give you a tiny bit more zoom in when you aim down sights than a red dot sight, and that will allow you to really pick off targets from long range. For that purpose, you're really going to want to take the foregrip off the weapon. However, for using this gun in close quarters with a suppressor, the foregrip certainly doesn't hurt at all. It allows you to be a little bit more mobile when you're shooting from the hip, and that is something that I was using quite a bit when people sort of surprise me in the game, because people will often run around the corner where you're hiding because you're not popping on the minimap. So a lot of players come sprinting around not expecting to find a player. That's a great situation to take advantage of the hip fire like I did right there. Now, it's kind of funny, but the fact that I've been playing a lot of airsoft recently has been teaching me a lot about weapons in terms of their ergonomics. Obviously, I know nothing about the way that real guns recoil and stuff like that, but when it comes to, say, reloading weapons, what kind of magazines they use, I'm becoming much more familiar with it, and the SCARs have almost identical reloading mechanics to the M4. In fact, the short reload time for the SCAR should be identical to the M4 because it is virtually an identical process. However, they're giving a much longer short reload time of 2.35 seconds, which is over half a second longer than the M16 or M4. Alright, now check out some masterful camping here. We're playing on Rush Domovan Peak. I've snuck behind this rock here, and check out this 16 bullet triple kill right there. Only 16 rounds were fired, got 3 kills, and the enemy team still has no clue where I am. Look, they keep just pouring in and I just keep racking up the kills. Now, a faster M4 or M16 reload really would have helped in this situation, but luckily they still didn't know where I was due to the suppressor. I figured that all these guys here are going to probably come back with a vengeance because they know where I'm hiding now that I've killed them, and they're going to come back and try and find me. So I push back up to try and be a little more aggressive, take some shots there, push back up, kill another guy. So I'm trying to just mix it up a little, not hide in the exact same spot every time. That guy there, as you can see, probably was trying to come kill me right there again. So just moving 10 feet, 20 feet in one direction will throw them off. Especially using the suppressor, you can still continue to rack up your kills and maintain invisibility on the minimap. Damavand is one of those maps where if you really want to be aggressive as a defender, you can get up into these hills and just burn through the enemy team's tickets. Now, I'm going to spawn back in here and again push back up into the hills, but this time on the right side of the map, and there's some nice little rocks that you can use to get up here. And I jump around this corner thinking that there's not going to be anyone there and get kind of lucky in that guy just missed me and was able to take him out. But again, just staying off the minimap with the suppressor, I can just hang out in these nice little campy spots up in the hills and people are not going to know where I am. Normally, if I was shooting here with a, say, heavy barrel, this guy in the building might have known where I was, taking a peek out the window and taking me out. I see this guy way in the back room there, and I love getting those like weird angle shots where you shoot somebody through a window, through a door, and it's just some weird angle that they had no idea they were exposed to. Now, I don't really use the US red dot site too frequently. It is a very easy site to use. The actual red dot in the center, the single red dot, is a very nice site. It's actually my preferred reticle, except the metal around the US red dot site is just a little too much for me, and I prefer the Cobra over it. However, the Cobra's 3-prong sight is not ideal. Once you get used to it, it's definitely usable, but I prefer having a little bit less metal around my sight, so that's why I use the Cobra. However, in terms of like the real use of these sights and the reality of it, having that extra bit of metal around this sight here makes it much more durable in the field. If you got to throw a gun down, you drop a gun, you bang it into something, which is very common, I'm sure, when you're out in the field, this sight is going to maintain intact. If you have very thin metal around your sights, then you'll notice that there's some sights in COD or even sights that I use for airsofting that have very thin metal. Those sights are not going to hold up to me banging it on something. It's going to bend the metal, it's going to mess up the sight, and all of a sudden it's not going to work anymore. So that's the reason for having thicker metal, heavier construction on a lot of these sites. Even though it doesn't really help you out in video games, they got to be realistic in terms of their design. And that's something that kind of actually hurts the SCAR itself, in that its authenticity in Battlefield 3 in terms of its rate of fire being 620 rounds per minute. That is accurate to the real life gun. That does hurt it in Battlefield 3. Battlefield is a 4 to 5 shot kill for assault rifle engagements, and having a lower rate of fire is really going to hurt you in the long run. Now, in real life, however, the rate of fire is probably going to be very agreeable for maintaining accuracy and even conserving ammo. You don't need to put 5 rounds into a guy at long range in real life. 1 round will definitely take them down, not necessarily confirm a kill, but you're not going to be getting back up after you get shot by a round from a SCAR L. So, I mean, you just got to hit them with 1 shot, and so it's all really about accuracy. So having a lower rate of fire, 625 rounds per minute in real life, isn't as big a deal as it is in Battlefield 3. And honestly, that seems to be the biggest struggle in video games, is trying to make guns as accurate as possible to their real-life counterparts while maintaining a cool, interesting balance. And unfortunately, I think the SCAR L does lack a little bit in that department. For long range, it can be a very fun weapon to use, but there's also some good alternatives out there. The M416 is also a very good long-range accurate platform. So I like the gun. I wish it had faster reload. It is fun running around with it with a suppressor. If you got your suppressor gameplay down, you can pretty much make anything work. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave your comments for the next episode of Loadout, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.